Okay, so you see the title, to drink or not to drink, and you think to yourself, what's going to be the answer? Is he going to give an answer? He's going to give a psak? None of that's happening. It's not going to be a psak. You want a halacha shir. You want to find out exactly whether you should or whether you shouldn't. You could ask your local Orthodox Rav, your Rebbe, your Mashgiach. What I want to do here, I just want to delve a little bit into the halacha of it, a little bit, but I want to talk about a broader issue that comes up with the drinking. And, some people thought I was actually going to bring in things and tell you what to drink and what not to drink, tell you this to drink. I'm not going to do that either. But sorry, no sample drinking either. That's right. I know. If anybody thought, you can leave now. But let's try and find out a little bit about this Indian of drinking on Purim, and let's try and get a clear picture, because it's the only time we get a clear picture. Once you start drinking, it all becomes fuzzy. So let's take a look at the first page where this all comes from. It's Gemara Megillah Daf Zayin Amud Beis, and I numbered it. You can start where it says line 1. Amar Rava. Rava says, Mechayiv inish libsume bepuria ad loyada ben ar haman lebarach mordechai. The Rava says that a person is chayiv to become besume, Dr. Rashi, lihishtaker b'yayin, to get drunk with wine on Purim until he does not know the difference between ar haman and baruch mordechai. So the Gemara quotes a nice story afterwards. Rabbi Rab Zera of the Sudas Purim ba'adei adati. Rabbi and Rab Zera made a Sudas Purim together, and ibsum, Rashi says they got drunk. Come, Rabba got up, shachtei Rabbi Zera, and he shachted Rabbi Zera. The next day, boy Rachme be'achi. So next day, Rabba davened for Reb Zera, and he revived him. Lashana, the next year, Amar Lei, he said to him. Now the Gemara doesn't say who said to who. Neisei Marvin Nevid Sudas Purim ba'adei adati. Let's have a Sudas Purim again. So Amar Lei, he said back to him, Loi b'chol shata b'shata misracha shnisa. Nes doesn't happen every time, so we're not going to have a Sudas Purim this year. Now, to take the story literally that he shechted him sounds a little. You have to be really, really drunk to shecht somebody, not kill, but shecht. That means you do shchita. So if you look at the Maharsha says that he didn't shecht him. He gave him so much to drink, he choked him. He was choking from so much to drink, and it was in his throat. That's why he calls it lashon shchita. And achye, he gave him life. That means he davened that he should feel better, because he was really, really shikker from the wine. Okay, very nice. So it sounds like this story is a good proof of how drunk you should get. But if you take a look at the next page, which is that sounds like how far you should go. Even if so far that you're gonna shech somebody. That's really far. So now if you look at it, it's double sided. So you look at the back page, the Ran, look towards the bottom where there's the arrow. The Ran says like this: that we say in the Gemara, to Mechayiv Lememer, you have to say Baruch Mordechai, Ar Haman Brucha Esther, Baruch Zeresh, and Gam Charvon Zachar Latayv. By the way, it's Gam Charvon, not Gam Corona, as some people have the Girsa, but it's Gam Charvon Zachar Latayv. Umechayiv Libsumi, you're chayiv to get drunk at Layada my cover. You don't know what you're saying, right? You have to say Ar Haman Baruch Mordechai, but you have to get drunk to the point where you don't know what you're saying. Now, because of Rabbeinu Ephraim Zal is the Rishon, Mehahu Uvda, the Kamrava, V'shachta the Reb Zera, Kedisa B'Gemara, from the fact that Gemara brings the story of Rabba and Reb Zera, that Kamrava and he shachted Reb Zera, Idchile Memra de Rabba, we have knocked off the Memra of Rabba. V'loi Shaper Dami Lemevad Hachi, it's not a good thing to do. You should not get drunk, and the Gemara is bringing you a Maisa to tell you the halacha doesn't apply anymore. It's called a Maisa Listor. It's a Maisa which knocks off the halacha. So you come up from Rabbeinu Ephraim, from the Ran is the Rishon, you're not mechayiv to get drunk. The story in the Gemara is there to tell you don't drink, don't get drunk. Okay, so where do we go from there? So let us go to the next page, which is the Mechaber, which everybody knows. Tafrei Sadei Hey, Siv Beis, the Mechaber Chayiv Inish L'Bsume B'Puria Ad Layada Bein Ar Haman L'Barach Mordechai. So you see clearly the Mechaber does paskin that one does have to get drunk until he does not know the difference between Ar Haman and Baruch Mordechai. And let's see the Ramah. V'yesh Armim. There's those who say, Ein Sarach Lishtak Kol Kach. You don't have to get so drunk. El Yishte Yoser Milimuto. Drink more than you're accustomed to. Now, for some people that might be a lot. Some people that might not be too much. V'yashen, and then you should fall asleep. Umitayich Shiyashen. For the fact that when you go to sleep, Ein Yedeh Ben Ar Haman L'Baruch Mordechai. You don't know the difference between Ar Haman and Baruch Mordechai, so you're Yetzer Yechiyev. Drink more than you're used to. Fall asleep. Don't know what you're doing when you sleep, so you're Yetzer Yechiyev. Now, he adds in the very important words, Ve'echad hamarbe, whether you add on the amount that you drink, Ve'echad hamamayit, and whether you lessen, Uvilvad she'echavin liba l'shamayim. Make sure your kavan is l'shem shamayim. Make sure whatever you're doing, whatever you decide to do, it has to be, your kavan has to be l'shem shamayim. So let's look at the Mishnah Berurah. We'll discuss this in a minute. On line 4 in the Mishnah Berurah, you see down below where there's the number 4. It's underlined. Va'alkin amru chazal shelo yafsik militein shavach al zeh. You shouldn't stop giving shvach in your Suda, Besimcha, for the Ar Haman and the Baruch Mordechai, you don't know what the difference is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu caused Haman to go down and Mordechai to go up. You're so drunk, you're so besimcha, you don't know what's going on. However, Yira Liazar, be very careful being Netilas Yadayim, washing properly, Uberkas HaMaitzi, Uberkas HaMazain, the Simcha Shel Mitzvah. It should be a Simcha Shel Mitzvah. So the bottom line is that if you're a Sephardi, you pass them like the Mechaber. If you're Ashkenazic, most of us sitting around here are, you pass like the Ramah. So, like the Ramah says, Ein Sarach L'Shtaker Kol Kach. You don't have to get so drunk. You don't. Just drink a little more than you used to, fall asleep. You're good to go. You're Tzeichiyah. For some reason, we've all decided that on Purim, we are Sephardim. Right? We're all Sephardim, V'nahabachu. We're passing like the Ramah the rest of the year. So by Purim, we should pass them like the Mechaber. That's why people take it a little bit too far. But the Biur Halach here, it's cut off, so I copied. You take a look at the next page. And you see there's a Me'iri. Very strong words of the Me'iri. Me'iri again is a Rishain. And it starts on line 1. Chayev, it should say Chay, it says Chaim, but it says Chayev Adam laharbas b'simcha b'yom zeh. You should increase the simcha that you have on this day. Uba'achilu ub'shisiya, with eating and drinking. Achla yafser shem davar, so nothing's missing. Umikol makom. In anu mitzuvin lishtaker, we're not commanded to get drunk. Ulahafchis atzmenu mitaycha simcha, and to denigrate ourselves, to lower ourselves from the simcha. Sheloi nitztavinu al simcha shel halulus v'shel shtus. We were not commanded on a simcha of halulus, which means levity, for lack of a better word, v'shel shtus, which means shtus. Ela b'simcha shel tainug. Rather, the simcha should be of enjoyment. Shiyagia mitoicha la'avas Hashem yizbarach. Through your simcha, you should come closer to an avas Hashem, a love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'idal nisim she'asa lanu, and to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the nisim that He did for us. Now, he says, if you look at the top of the next column, he says the reason that the Gemara quotes the story, also like Rabbi Ephraim said, is because it is a Maisa Lister, to tell you that the halacha doesn't apply anymore. So you definitely see from the Me'iri over here, that no matter what you're doing, if you plan on getting drunk, or you plan on drinking a lot, there's no chiyuv whatsoever to denigrate yourself. We were never commanded for Simcha Shel Shtus. That's not what Chazal had in mind. That's not what Mordechai and Esther were Meiser Nafsham for. That's not what they said. Let's get Leich K'nais Kol Hayudim V'tzumu Alai and fast 3 nights and 3 days. Something we never, ever, ever find. We never find this. This is the only time that we found 3 nights and 3 days consecutively of not eating and drinking. I mean, everybody knows how you feel after 1 day of Yom Kippur. You've had it. You're done. And this is 3 nights and 3 days that didn't eat consecutively. That's nothing. No. Night, day, night, day, night, day. Or the other, yeah. Right? Consecutively. Imagine children did this. Pregnant ladies did this. Mothers, fathers, old, young, everybody. There was not one person who didn't do it. And this is the Mesiras Nefesh that Esther Hamalka, the Neviah, had going into Achashverosh, the Rosh Marusha. This Mesiras Nefesh was definitely not, says the Meiri, so that we should have a Simcha Shel Halulus V'Shel Shtus. And I quote the Rebrevda, who said that the reason, he said one time, and I think I might have mentioned this, that he flew all over Eretz Yisrael when he was older to give shiurim on Purim. And so the reason he spent so much money on it, and the reason he went over all these places, he said, because it bothered him that not one person asked themselves this question. It bothered him. Not one person said, "Is this the yontif that Chazal were misaken? Could it be that this, what goes on in our world, is the yontif that the main mitzvah hayom is turned into matanas levin?" He said his nechama is that millions of dollars go to aniyim, and they're supported from this one day of Purim. That's his nechama. But he said, is this what they wanted? This is what they were misaken, that it just turns into matanas levinim and shtus and leitzanas? Is that what they wanted? So, fine. We could sit here today, tomorrow, and start saying, is this what they wanted? This is not what they did, and this is not the mitzvah, this is not the mitzvah. So what I'm going to do tonight is, I'm going to help you get drunk. I'm going to help you do it the proper way. We're going to sit here, we're going to learn a couple of midrashim, we're going to actually learn what is Purim all about. We've been talking the past couple of weeks about the Megillah and the Nisim and how Kadosh Baruch Hu runs everything. Well, let's get to the essence of the day, the panemius of Purim. Let's try to understand what Purim is, because if we understand what Purim is, then when we get to the Mishnah and we think about it, if we start to drink, and if we make that cheshbon, I know myself, I'm not going to denigrate myself, I'm not going to have a simcha shel shtus, but rather I know what Purim is about, I'm going to use out the day properly, then taka, we can have not just a high, but an aliyah, a ruchnius aliyah, with this Purim, with this drinking. So let us start out and find out what exactly is Purim. So let's go, turn to the next page. This is a Medrash. And the Medrash says like this. Amar Haman. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll read bits and pieces, but let's start on line 10. Amar Haman, Lachasherish. Haman said to Achashverosh, Elokeim shel elu seinei zima. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the God of the Jews, hates immorality. So he said, I want you to do something. You want to get the Jews finished? Make a Suda. Make a Mishnah. Invite everybody. Tell them they have to come. Hamid lahem zaynis va'aseh lahem mishteh u'gzar lahem shavo kulam. Have immodestly dressed women come. Force everybody. You have to come. You have to eat. You have to drink. You have to have a fun time. And you'll see what happens. And then you get them to sin. Now, you can imagine this was posted up all over Shushan. And everybody was looking. And everybody said, okay, we got to go. Look what the Medrash says on line 16. Kevan Shara Mordechai Kach. Mordechai saw what was happening. Amadi stood up. He announced Alein to them. V'amar lehem. Do not go to eat at that Suda. The only reason that he invited you to this Suda is that he should have a prosecution on you. So the Satan, the Midas Hadin, should come and prosecute against us in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, Rabbi Orden was here. He spoke about Emunas Chachamim Das Torah, and this is clear. You see how Das Torah looks at something like this, with clear vision, with clear eyes of Torah. You know, everybody was looking at him. Were you ultra-Orthodox, radical, fanatic, telling everybody not to go? What do you mean? The king's going to get upset at us. The king's going to get angry at us. What are you telling us not to go? And Mordechai's telling you, I'm telling you, do not go. This is not the place where we belong. We don't belong there. This is going to come back to bite us. This Satan is going to come with a kitchug against us. Don't go. What does the Medrash say? They all went. Not one person listened. 18,500 Yidden went. V'achlu, they ate. V'shasu, and they drank. V'nishtakru, they got drunk. V'niskalkulu, they had a kilkul. They didn't have air. What it was, Rabbi says some people, they go to painstaking lengths to find out what the aver was. He said, Chazal don't want to tell us. What do we have to go into it for? Niskalkulu, they didn't have air. Whatever happened, something wrong happened. What happened? Look at the line 21 with the double underline. Mi yad, immediately, when they all went, Amatzatan, the Satan got up. V'hilshin alein lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'amar lefanav, the Satan went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said, Rebbeinu Shalaylam, Ad masai tidbak b'umazu. How much longer are you going to stick with this nation? Shei mafrishin levava ve'emunasa mimcha. Their hearts and their emuna are separated from you. Imretzaincha abed umazu min ha'olam. Destroy them. Ki einam boim b'tshuva lefanecha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, look at this nation. This is a nation of people who every couple of years they're making Churban Abayis and they're doing Averis, and now look at them. They've gone to the Suda. Their hearts are not with you, and their Emunah is not with you. Says Rabbi, what was he saying? Their hearts and their Emunah? The Satan was now bringing back the sin that they did with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar set up a huge tzelem, and he put the tzitz in the mouth, and the tzelem started saying, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. And he had everybody from representatives from around the world come and bow down to this Avodah Zarah. The Yidden were also included, and they bowed down. Hanani, Mishael, Azari said, we're not bowing down. They got thrown into the fiery furnace. Now, was this Avodah Zarah? The Gemara says, yes, it was Avodah Zarah, but they only did it out of fear. They didn't do it because they believed in the Avodah Zarah, but they feared Nebuchadnezzar. So, and nobody ever was misakin this whole time. And now the Satan was waiting, and he said, now's my option, my opportunity. He runs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said, look, the hearts, they're eating at that Suda, they don't remember what time is Mount Kriya Shema is, they don't remember when Shkia is, davening, you kidding? Baruch Rishona, Achrona, right? And their Emunah, where is it? What happened to that Aver back then? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wasn't convinced. He said, no, Torah Matei Allah. If the Yidden are going to be destroyed, what's going to be with the Torah? Who's going to learn it? Who's going to learn the Torah? So he said, Rebbeinu Shalom, just let us be happy with the Malachim in Shemaim. We don't cause the Churban Bayis every 70 years. We'll learn the Torah. The Torah will have a place. So, what's HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to do? Zok the Medrash on line 24. V'gam hishva daitoi limchas Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, yes, I am going to wipe out Klal Yisrael. But it's a Shalom HaKadosh Baruch Hu. At that time Hashem said, Lama li Uma, why do I need this nation? Shebishvila, that before it here, Beisi Oisai Semasi L'chol HaKam Aleim L'ra, Hashem said, so many times I've done miracles and nisim and niflos for this nation. Why do I need them anymore? Ashbisa me'enosh zichra, because the pasuk, let me totally annihilate them from history. Miyad Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Satan, Hashem said to the Satan, Have li Megillah, bring me a Megillah of Echtav Ela Klaya, and I will write on it the destruction of the Jews. And the Medrash goes on that the Satan came, he brought him a Megillah, and Hashem signed lahashmin laharug la'abed. Done. The Yidden are done. Hashem has agreed to wipe us out. Immediately the Medrash continues. We're going to go to the next page. The Medrash says that the Torah, Kav Yachol, the sun and the moon and the stars went out in Sak, and they were in Avelos. And Ba'isa Shad says the Medrash, Eliyahu Navi Zachal Latayv started running to Moshe Rabbeinu and to the Avos. And he said, no, where are you, Avos? Where are you? Your children are in Sar. Why aren't you davening to Hashem for your children? Moshe Rabbeinu, where are you? So the Avos said, well, what's the Gzera for? What's the problem? So he said to them, because they had Hana, they enjoyed themselves at Achashverosh Suda. So you know what they said? Let's check out line 16. Amrulai Avram Yitzchak V'Yaakov, our Avos, and Karachim Aval Banim, how much Rachmanis does a father have to a child? But you know what they said? Imhim Avru Agdas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, if they were over the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nechtam HaGzerasim, and Hashem sealed the Gzera, Ma'anu Yichayim Masais. What could we do? Can't do anything, sorry. Came to the wrong address. So Eliyahu ran to Moshe Rabbeinu. He said, no, Moshe Rabbeinu, what should we do? Moshe Rabbeinu, how many times did you daven for Klal Yisrael? Where are you now? They need your tefillos. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to him, is there any, this is on line 26, is there one kosher person in this generation? So he said, yes, there's a person, his name is Mordechai. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to him, look, lech ba'idiyah, go and tell him what's going on. Why? That he should stand down there and daven in the physical world. Vani mikan, I will stay up here in Shemaim and I will daven for him. And we will daven together. So Eliyahu said, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu already signed them over to be destroyed. What can we do? Hashem himself signed it over. So Moshe said, is the shtar written in tit, in plaster, or in dam, with blood? Now, whatever that means, right? Whatever all this means. So he said it's written in tit, is plaster. He said, if it's not written in blood, we still have a chance. So fine. So that was the plan. Now I want to bring out a point over here. There's another medrash by Tisha B'Av, how the Navi went to the Kivrei Avos, and we say this in the Kinnis, how he went to the Avos and the Imos, and he said to them, no, where are you? Your children are going to Galus, why aren't you davening for your children? And what does it say over there? Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Leah, they all went in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they all davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Hashem said, I'm sorry. No dice, they're still going to Galus. Finally, Rachel Imenu goes, and Rachel Mavaka al Baneh, she cries out for her children, and Hashem says, okay, in your zchus, V'shavu banim l'gvula. That was by Tishba, by the Churban Bayis. Over here, the Avos said, sorry, we're not doing anything. In some aspect, in some way, this Gezerah is worse than the Gezerah of Tisha B'Av, the Churban Bayis. The Avos here said, we can't do anything, I'm sorry, we're not going to daven. If that's what happened, let them go. This Gezerah of Haman, Lahashmin al-Harag al-Abed, wasn't just final solution. Hashem himself decided, I don't want this Ummah anymore. I don't want them. What do I need them for? Let me totally wipe them out. Do you hear a Gezerah like this? This Gezerah is very, very intense, like no other Gezerah we've ever encountered. So what's going to happen? So Moshe Rabbeinu says to Mordechai, says to Eliyahu, he says, you got to go get this Mordechai, and you got to tell him he has to go ahead, and he's got to daven. And I have to daven, and we both got to daven. So now, let me ask you something. What was the response from Klal Yisrael when they hear about this Gezerah down here? They might not know what's going on in Shemaim. Did any Yid go ahead and they ran to the public officials and bribe them? No. Did any of them go into hiding? No. Did any of them try to masquerade as Goyim? No. Not one of them did that. What did they do? Parak Tal said, Mordechai Yadas Kol Shanas, I don't have it there, but Mordechai knew what happened. Vayikra Mordechai Spigadav. And you have to picture this. Mordechai rips his clothing. The Gadol Hadar, alright, the biggest rub you can think of, just put his face there, rips his clothes, Vayilvash Sak V'Efer, he puts on a sack that he put potatoes in, he puts on a sack, he puts Efer, ashes on his head, he goes out, Vayetze B'Seicha Ir, he goes out into the middle of the city, Vayizak Za'aka Gedola Umara, and he screams on top of his lungs, he starts crying. That's Mordechai, that's what he's doing. And everybody else sees what's going on. And they start asking Mordechai what's going on, and he starts telling them about the Gezerah. And there's an Avel Gadol, says the Megillah. The Yidden joined into that Avelos. Now, do you ever hear of an Avel Katan, a small Avelos? What's an Avel Gadol? So normally in Avelos, when a person loses a loved one, Chas V'Shalom, the Avelos, as time goes on, they say time heals all wounds, right? As the Avelos goes on, the mourning gets less and less and less and less. I mean, as much as it could be. Over here, they were counting down to their destruction. Every day that went by was another day closer to Lahashmin Laharag al-Abed. Their Avel got that much greater. It was an Avel Gadol. day by day went on, and the Avelus got more and more and more intense. Now, you could tell me, Mordechai, just go tell Esther. She's right there. You're in the Shar HaMelech, right? You're right there. Once she was there, you're in the Shar HaMelech every day. You haven't moved. You've moved your apartment from there into the Shar HaMelech. That's where you live now. Go tell Esther. What are you doing? Go tell Esther. But what does he do? He puts on a sock and he prevents himself from going into Esther. You can't come to the Shar HaMelech wearing sock. He's saying, no, I don't want to go to Esther. I don't want to have anything to do with her. She sends him clothes. No, tell me what's going on. Nope. I don't want to stop from my tinus, from my tshuva, from my avelas for 1 second. Only to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what I'm doing. And she says, then she sends with Hatzach back and forth. But Mordechai can't go into Esther. He doesn't want to tell Esther. And then Esther says, okay, fine. What should we do, Mordechai? He says, well, you got to go in and you got to go to Achashverosh. She says, Mordechai, that's a crazy plan. You want me to succeed going in, right? You want me to help out, but I haven't called for 30 days. If I go, I haven't been called at all. If I go in, what's going to happen? He's going to get more angry. What's going to happen to us? He's going to get more upset at us. The plan is going to fail. Mordechai, what are you telling me to do? Let me wait. He won't be able to stand that I'm not with him for so long. He'll eventually call me. Then it'll be a good time. Mordechai says, Esther, you're missing the boat over here. Esther, we're going to have a Yeshua because we're davening. We're doing tshuva. We're doing what we have to do. We're not going to anybody else. We're doing the right thing, and that's tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, avir nesar. That's what we're doing. You have a separate cheshbon while you have to go, and you have to be misakin for shal. But if we're doing tshuva, if we're davening to Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem is going to answer us. And the Yetzer Lekach points out afterwards when she said that they should fast for her. I wrote down on the side, she also knew that her hishtadlus going to Achashverosh was not going to provide a salvation for the Yidden. That wasn't going to happen. She knew they were doing tshuva. She knew they were going to be answered. And if you look later on, Taka looks like, from Parak Zayin, that when Esther went in to try and get Haman killed, and I've told some of you this, she went in to get Haman killed. We know that Esther did not succeed in getting Haman killed. We know is based on so many malachim that were brought through what? The tshuva of Klal Yisrael. So what do we see here? We see here we're not doing anything else. We're not doing any hishtadlus. We're not doing anything like that. We're going straight to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To the point where we have the last medrash that I wanted to share with you. And it's such an important medrash that everybody should know, and it takes place right before the events of Parak Vav. Haman had just built the 8th. He's all ready to hang Mordechai, and he can't sleep that night because he's so excited. He's got this plan from Zeresh, this foolproof plan. It's going to work. He wants to go see what this Jew Mordechai is going to be swinging on the gallows is doing on his last night of his life. So, Zakta Medrash, and it's on line 1. After he made the 8th, Halach Eitzel Mordechai, he goes through the streets and he says, where is this Jew Mordechai? Where can I find Mordechai the Jew? And the Yidden are up, even though it's late at night. Why? Because they're doing tshuva. They haven't stopped. They're still fasting. This is the last night. And he finds him. And they say, go find Mordechai over there in that big convention center, that big auditorium over there. So Haman walks in with his henchmen, opens up the doors, and what does he see in front of him? Says, he found Yoshev beveis hamedrash, v'atinoikas yoshim lefanov, v'sakim b'masneim v'oiskim b'Torah. He sees little Jewish children sitting there in sakim, and they're oisik in Torah, v'yitzaikim u'vaychim, and they're crying out. Umana Sam Haman counted up, u'matzasham chaf beis elef tinoikas. 22,000 tinoikas shel beis Rabbah. Now, I don't know if any of you have walked by a cheder in Yerushalayim, one of those Yerushalmi Chadarim, where you hear the kids learning with the Rebbe, and you hear the Kol Torah, and it pierces your neshama pashut. So the brother said if he would have had a heart, he would have had a heart attack. But Haman didn't have a heart, didn't affect him at all. He said, Mistami had a heart transplant, the guy forgot to put the other one back in. So he said, this guy, nothing, doesn't do anything to him. So he goes over and he asks Mordechai, what are these children doing here? What do you have all these children here for? So Mordechai said, Haman, these children are doing whatever it takes to break your gezerah. So Haman got so enraged, he went into such a fit of rage, he ordered right away 22,000 shekels be brought in, and he chained every single child to their table. And he got up and he made an announcement on line 8. V'amar l'machar tomorrow, erog ela tinoikos tchila v'achakach esles Mordechai. Jew, before I hang you tomorrow, all these 22,000 are finished. They're going to be the first ones to go. Imagine that. Imagine Russia is so full of him with these children, and he wants to kill them, and he says they're all finished. 22,000 slaughtered in one moment like that, and he barges out. So word spreads like wildfire through the streets, and everybody starts to hear the prophet that Haman's going to kill all these people, all these children. And what happens is the mothers, a couple hours later, come back, and Rabbi said, if somebody could paint me a picture what this must have looked like. He said, I'd love to see what a picture this would look like. You have Jewish mothers standing there, Yiddish mama standing there, with food in their hands. And they said like this, look at line 10, Banenu, our children. They said, we have heard the gezerah of the Russia, that he wants to slaughter you. But however, we are worried, because this is the third day and third night that you've been fasting. And we are worried that you're not going to survive the night. And we're worried that Haman will not kill you. Ichlu ushisu. Go eat and go drink. We want you to die tomorrow, al pi kiddush Hashem. This is what we want from our children. We don't want you dying tonight. We want to see that this Russia is going to kill you, al pi kiddush Hashem. Her brother said, can you imagine the Simcha and Shemayim from Sarah Imenu, from Avram Avinu, what children they left over in this world? Can you imagine the Simcha of their neshamas dancing? Look at what their Emunah is so strong. And this is what they want, a life of only for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They said, eat and drink so we can witness you being killed al pi kiddush Hashem. So, what do you think the children are going to say? Listen to their mothers. Medrash says, no, miyad hayu manichim yedem al sifreim. Each one had a little sefer Torah. They put their hand on their sefer, because when you take a shvuah, you have to hold, in the kitas chayvetz, you have to have a sefer Torah with you. And they said like this, Bechaye Mordechai Rabbeinu, by the life of Mordechai our Rebbe, loy noichal v'loy nishte. We are not eating, we are not drinking. Elamitayich ta'anisenu namus. We are going to die al pi kiddush Hashem from a guf naki, from a pure heart, from a pure body that has no gashmias in it whatsoever. That's how we want to go. Now, can you imagine these children? These children were born in Golus. These children never saw Kohanim b'avodasim Levim b'shiram. They never saw a Beis Hamikdash. They never saw these nisim that constantly happens to the Yidden day in, day out in the Beis Hamikdash. They never saw it. These are Bavliim. These are children born in Golus. And they had the fortitude to say, we are not going to die like that. We are going to die from a guf naki. No gashmias whatsoever. And what happened right after that? At once, in unison, go kulam bebechia. They started crying all together. Also shavatum amarim, until their cries pierced the heavens. Vishama Hakadosh Baruch Hu kol bechiyasam kivishtei shas ba'ala, at the second hour of the night. Hakadosh Baruch Hu heard the crying. At that time, nisgalgulu rachmav shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem's rachmim started waking up, started to come around. V'amad mi kisei din. He got off that kisei of din. V'yashav bi kisei rachamim, and he sat on the kisei of rachamim. V'amar, and he said a rhetorical question. Ma kadol gadol hazeh shani shameh kigdoi mitzlayim. What's the sound of sheep and goats that I'm hearing so early in the morning? So what happened? Amad Moshe Rabbeinu lifnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe Rabbeinu, remember, he was waiting for this point. He told Eliyahu to tell Mordechai to daven. Moshe Rabbeinu was waiting for this moment, and he said, "Lifnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Ribayna Shalom like Gedoyim like Tzolayim Heim. These are not goats and sheep. Elikatani Amcha. These are the Tinaykah Shel Beis Rabban. These are your children. Shem Shruyim B'Tainis Hayom Shleisha Yom Shleisha Leil. This is the third day and third night that they are fasting. Ulamacha writes Ha'ayiv L'Sheichtam Kigdoyim Mitzlayim. And tomorrow, the wicked Haman has said that I want to shech them like goats and sheep." What happened by Yisasha at that time? Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, "Where's that Megillah that I wrote? Lahashmi lahargu la'abed. Where is it?" Now tell Hakadosh Baruch Hu, "Oisani garish shagazaleim shayu chasumas b'chaisim shaltit u'kraim." Hakadosh Baruch Hu took it and ripped up that gezerah. Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, "That gezerah, no more." And then v'hipal alach ashirish b'hala b'yisal, and that's why it says b'layla u'nadash nasamelach. From that night, Hashem made Achashverosh couldn't sleep because of this crying. So, who saved us over here? What was the salvation? What was the Hatzalah of Purim? How are we saved? You see it clearly. We were saved by one thing, by tshuva, by tefillah, by kavsa'akav, by coming back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We were so far away, and we'll see in Shoshanis Yaakov. If you look at the next page, what do we say in Shoshanis Yaakov? We say, Lehaidia. You know what the point of reading this whole Megillah is? To tell you, She'kol kaivecha layevaishu v'layikomu lanetzach kol ha'chaisim bai. Anybody who longs for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, anybody who davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will never be forsaken. The point of this Megillah is not to tell you, if you have a Jewish person who's married to the king, or is a high official, go to them and let them tell your problems to the king to save you. The point of this Megillah, the reason we read it, is to tell you one thing. You're far away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're doing Averis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu pushes you far away, Hashem will never turn us away from His Rachamim. As soon as we snap back into Tshuva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepts us like this. and this is brought out even more, last Maramakim. If you look at the last page, it's the Minin HaMitzvahs from the Rambam. And the Rambam is asking, why, if we have 613 mitzvahs, why did Chazal come along and add on? Seemingly they're adding on two more. We have many more mitzvahs Rabbanan. We have Megillah, we have Chanukah. How could they do such a thing? So the Rambam says like this. If you look at the where it starts getting underlined, V'tzivanu likros ha-Megillah b'inasa. They commanded us to read Megillah in its time, k'dei lahazgir shvachav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order that we should announce the praises of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, u'tshuai she'asa lanu, and the salvation that He did for us. V'hayakarayv l'shaveinu, that He was close to our calling out. K'dei levarchai u'lahalai, in order that we should bench HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we should say brachos and halal. And why else did they institute reading Megillah? U'k'dei lahaydia l'daris habayim, to let all the future generations know the following: she'emes, that it is 100% true, ma she'hivtichanu b'Torah, that which Hashem promised us in His Torah. And it says, Ki migai gadol, who is such a great nation, asher lo yalekim krev me'elav, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so close to them. Kashem alekeinu b'chol kareinu elav, like Hashem is so close to us whenever we call out to Him. The reason we're reading this Megillah, the reason we have a yontif of Purim is what? We should let future generations know. We were so far away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the point that He said, I don't want them. What do I need them anymore? He signed us away. Haman wasn't the only one. The only reason Haman was allowed to sign his decree is because we had a decree in Shemayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I don't want them. That's how far away we were. And the Avos, and we said before, Krachim, how much mercy does a father have on a child? We always take our children back, no matter what they've done. And the Avos said, if that's the case, we have nothing to do with them. But when we came back with tshuva, with tefillah, with tza'aka, we came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we said, Hashem, yeah, we did have errors, but we want to come back. Hashivenu Hashem elecha v'nashuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so close to us, He came so close to us, that we were so close to Him, that He accepted our tshuva right away. So, yes, we have chiyuvim on this yontif. Yes, we have Mishloach Manos, and we have davening, and we have Mishnah, we have all these other things which can take away, possibly, from the Itzumai Shal Yom, from the essence of the day. Because what is the essence of the day that we just learned? What is the mitzvah? What is this Yeshua of Purim? It's tefillah. That's what Purim's all about. It's getting close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a mitzvah shel simcha. What type of simcha are we talking about? Shel hoylus v'shel shtus? Of course not. The Arizal is quoted as saying that that Purim is a Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippur in the Torah is called Yom Kippurim. Purim is a day like Yom Kippur. Because Yom Kippur, is like Purim, just the opposite. Yom Kippurim, right, is a Yom like Purim. Purim, we can attain so much, we can get so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through our tefillas. So no matter what you do during your day, you have to make the cheshbon like this. If I'm going to go ahead and I'm making the cheshbon, I'm going to drink because it's part of my Mishnah. And in my Mishnah, I'm going to sing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If I know somebody who needs a Yeshua, I'm going to daven for them. If I know somebody who's not well, I'm going to daven for them. If I know somebody who needs parnasa, I'm going to daven for them. Because it's a day where I can get so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and my drinking is going to help me get elevated to that point, then Matzayim Ma'anayim, go ahead and do it. That's a mitzvah hayom. But if it's going to lead to anything else, you can't be mevatel the mitzvah hayom. And this is a paper, the next page is something that the Chavetz Chaim Heritage Foundation passes out. I don't know, I haven't seen it. On Purim, whatever prayers are sent to Hashem by Klal Yisrael are accepted. There's a halacha of kol ha'nosin yad poshet yad noisin lai. Anybody who asks for tzedakah, you give them. You don't, wait, what are you collecting for? This just give the person. The same is true brought down over here. That is the same with our tefillah. The gates of Shemaim are open on Purim. It's an unbelievable day. Your Shachris, Yom Kippur. Your Mincha, Yom Kippur. You can't forget Marav, your Ne'ilah. You're going away from Yontif. The gates are open. It's there in front of us. Who could not use another day in the year when the gates of Shemaim are open and Hashem is so ready to listen to our tefillahs? Who couldn't use it? We all could use it. So, again, you want to go through the halachas, whether some people say you should drink, you shouldn't drink, you should get totally tanked, you should get not so much, a little bit more, a little bit less, you should drink beer, you shouldn't drink beer, you should only drink wine, right? Whatever it is. Lamaisa, don't ever forget what the essence of this day is. And the point of this day is what? That we should come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with our tefillahs. So if you're going to be at a Suda, and you're going to be with Chaverim, what would be so bad if during the Suda you'd say Kapitel Tehillim? Would it be so bad if before you start or after or during, whenever some point you say, Rabbi Sai, Klal Yisrael has tzaras, Klal Yisrael has needs, we're all together as Sudas Mereim, as Sudas are friends, let's say Kapitel Tehillim for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael. Who doesn't need a Yeshua? What would be so wrong if we actually did that? The Yeshuas that can come out from a Purim are Ayim Venera, are unbelievable. And we should all think about this. We have a couple days left. and if we don't bring this into our bones, that this is what Purim is all about, Chas v'Shalom Purim could take, we could take a left turn on Purim and come up with a yontif which is totally, for some, some people it's a Tisha B'Av. They either do something to a friend they shouldn't have said, or somebody feels bad. They come, you come to the house and the wife feels, oh, what's going to happen? Is this thing going to break? Is that thing going to break? They're all sit there, it's, for them, it's why should you do that? If cares if you have a simcha mitzvah shel simcha, a simcha shel avas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then in Mirza Hashem we could all use out the day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should answer every one of our tefillas. So last sheet over here, those of you who were here last week, this is not PowerPoint, but it's basically a very quick chart of the Ben HaPachu that we went through in Parakeh of all the plan of Haman and Zeresh and exactly how we have Ben HaPachu. If not, you can catch it on Kosher 2.